Taylor, you are a mental health advocate and founder and lead therapist of A Change Within. Can't wait
Mhm.
to learn more about the company itself. So, how did you become a mental health advocate?
Yeah, so it was an interesting journey, and I had to kind of take it back to starting college. So I started at University of Central Florida as a double major aerospace and mechanical engineer. I did that for a year and I was like, I'm not really finding my passion, so let me switch to being a doctor. So I was biology major. Finished undergrad, 3.0 biology, applied to med school. I didn't get in. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I had this plan of action. I had this set dream, but what do I do in the meantime? Because now I'm not going to be going straight to medical school. So I was like, well, let me maybe do a master's and let me figure out what else I can do. And so I was researching counseling. And now I've always been the talker of my friend groups. Everyone came to me for their problems, Taylor this, Taylor that. So I was like, oh, I could do this for a living. I can do this and help others professionally. And so that's what led me to become going to the graduate program for counseling and learning about mental health counseling as well as marriage and family counseling. And so that was my track on entering this profession. And I've been doing it ever since. Graduated with my master's in 2019 and just had just a fantastic time, a rewarding time as a therapist.
Wow, that is awesome. So, how did the idea of starting your own business come to you?
Yes. So I've always been, I would say, and my mom would say that I was a dreamer. Always been dreamer, big ideas, big goals. It didn't matter what profession I thought I was going to be in. I always thought I should have my own. I just had this itch, this need, because when you have your own, being a minority female in this country, it really gets that power back and you get to orchestrate how you want to practice in your profession. And so when I entered in grad school for counseling, I was like, oh, I could do private practice. So I graduated, but I started off at agency because that's what I thought I had to
Mm-hmm.
do. And talking to my state supervisor, she was like, no, you can start right now. Yes, you're in your residency state. You can start right now. I'm like, really? I was a little nervous, a little stressed. I didn't take any business classes. They were offered. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll start. And then I start doing the research. I was looking at it like, oh, wow, it's not hard to start your own business. And so I did a leap of faith. I was like, well, if this is my end goal, why not start off slow? Start off maybe one client, two clients, and before you know it, I'm 2 years in this, just over 2 years, and I have 35 clients I work with regularly, and that's just me in the beginning. I'm still, like, as we call it, baby counselors. Like, we just freshly
Yes.
graduated. So the stars are the limit for me. And so that was the push to say, my supervisor, she was like, you can start now. You don't have to be 5 years, 6 years, 7 years into the profession to begin and have your own entity.
Exactly. And you know what? Your supervisor was right. It's better to just start now than wait, go waste your time working for someone for 10 years to realize that I don't want to work with you. Actually, I don't even like you. So let me
Exactly.
quit.
And two,
So,
because at the time, I had just recently had my daughter in 2020. It's like right before February 2020 and everything. And so I, had this, dream to be able to be with her while I was working. And having my own practice allowed me to set my hours based on my daughter's schedule. So I've pretty much been a stay-at-home mom for 2 years. You just recently started school for 2 to 3 days a week. And I had that opportunity to walk with her, learn with her, grow with her for that first 2 years of life. And I wouldn't have had that opportunity had I not started my own business.
yes. And then actually, that's my same experience. So,
Mhm.
I've been with my son from birth to now. So I know his
Yeah,
strength. I know where he needs help. I know all the things about him. So I think that having a business really help with that. Absolutely, you are right with
absolutely.
that. So Tell us more about your company, A Change Within, and the services that it offers.
Yes. So I came up with that name too, because I was going through like several different names. I was talking to my family, talking to my husband, like what fits. And I settled on A Change Within because that is the practice and principle of that for your healing journey is uniquely yours. And the only change will happen is from within yourself. And so, with that embodiment of that principle, I work with clients either on an individual basis or with couples or families to help them in a mental health capacity, understanding the root causes of their issues, any family trauma that may have contributed to their discord in life, processing stress, and of course, anxiety, depression. We work on identity development, and so that's the bulk of what A Change Within is working on. But we're also, I'm also developing, as a business owner. So I'm working with right now just one local organization, but I develop mental health workshops for adolescent and young adults to where I educate teen girls and young college age girls about, mental health, how to protect yourself, how to have boundaries, when to speak up or when to speak out. I'm also, a podcaster. I have Therapy Talks with Taylor, where I just spread awareness and authentic conversations about mental health and anything. And I also dabble a little bit in content creation with mental health resources and, awareness apparel. So that way I can have my hands in different industries to just break that stigma of mental health. And that's really my main driving force, whether I'm working directly with a client or with an organization or in group sessions. I want to break that stigma, particularly with my brown and Black communities, of it's okay to talk to someone. It's okay to seek help. You can discuss things as a preventative measure, like how we would go to a doctor just annually, regularly. We can go to a therapist for preventative stuff.
Exactly. So, do you, for your services, is it online or is it one-on-one in person? Like face to face?
Yeah, so it is both. I have telehealth services. So I see, I have some clients all over Florida via telehealth. And then I also have in-person sessions within the Central Florida area.
Okay. So pretty much like you can meet with someone face to face, but you can also have them online if that's what they prefer.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
But you cannot do anything outside of the state. So it's only right now. It's only within the state.
Yes, only within the state. Now, there is recent developments within counseling, how there is a compact, licensure, but it's still, with laws, it takes a while for it to solidify. But the theory with this law is that when you are licensed, you can apply for this compact and you can take clients from anywhere within this compacted licensure. So right now it's, I believe, Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, and a few other states have bought into this. Now, how it looks for counseling in the future, we're still unsure because it's so new, but we hope within the next 2 to 3 years to have more concrete evidence where I, as a Florida therapist, could see clients anywhere within, those, states who bought in, and say, for example, if California was part of the compact or Oregon. So that way we have more reach in helping others across the nation.
Exactly. I think that will happen too. And I hope that happens soon because
Yes.
that doesn't limit you from, people that you can see as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you follow a holistic approach to therapy. What exactly does that entail, and what factors do you evaluate before recommending a treatment plan to your client?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am very much holistic in a sense of that client-centered first, because my clients come to me with their life story, their life experience, and they're experts in their life. I am only a guide to help understand what has happened to them, understand their emotions, how to process emotions effectively, learn coping skills. And so I meet with clients for an hour, but they still go out and live their life. And so every time I meet with a client, it's a new thing. I don't apply the same method to each client because everyone's uniquely different. So I meet with a client for a couple sessions and we get a feel for each other, build connection, build trust. And then that's where I start implementing some of those techniques, whether some clients need a more stronger structured CBT route and more worksheets and more organized questions. Okay, we got that. But I have other clients who want narrative therapy, who really just wants to tell their story as many times as possible to reconstruct it to where it's not impacting them emotionally. And so as I meet with clients, I kind of see, okay, their personality is a little bit more this way, or their, attributes are more this way. So then I'll bring in what I learned in grad school and what I researched on, okay, I think this might be a best fit. And so I'll sit with the client when we're developing our treatment. It's like, hey, I noticed that you like this. How do you feel about incorporating this as our goal setting to make sure that we're on the right track?
Wow. I love it. That's awesome. So people generally don't open up about the mental health issues, as you said earlier. Mm-hmm. So how do you make a client feel safe and show that they are understood?
Yeah, so that first session is critical. That really determines if a client sticks with me or not. And so what I do is say, hey, this is for you. This is a safe space. I really want to break it down and explain to my clients that you are welcome, you're heard, you're validated. I want to allow this to be a comfortable space to share. You don't have to fill in your whole entire life story to how you got to me today. That would take too long. You can start off from as far back as childhood. We can start off with how are you feeling in this exact moment. And I feel having that as our starting conversation allows my clients like, oh, okay. All right, I don't have to share everything all at once, because it takes that time to trust. Yes, I have a trustworthy face, but it's still, I'm a new person. And so I want to create this comfortability. And sometimes my clients will, in the first session, start crying. And they're like, I'm so sorry, I'm crying. It's like, no, it's okay. Your body, your spirit trusts me. And so that's why we're emoting, and emotions are good. They're valid. There's no judgment. Or some clients will come in like, I'm sorry, I just woke up. I just logged in. My hair is a mess. Like, hey, come as you are. It doesn't matter if you are professional, dressed in Chanel head to toe, or if you rolled up in a hoodie and sweatpants. It does not matter. What matters is that we have honest conversations and that we're open with each other to have a healing process.
Exactly. Wow, I wish everyone will use your process,
Right?
So you believe that real change starts within. Mm-hmm. Can you elaborate more on this for us?
Yeah, so I work to encourage my clients to trust themselves, because a lot of my clients come to me and they don't trust their opinions. They don't trust their emotions. They've been invalidated so much. So they'll start with a thought, but then they'll backtrack and say, I can't do it. It's like, well, you are the expert. You have gotten this far in life. You have accomplished these things. And I work on helping them change that perspective from within, because our mind is a powerful thing. I was just having this discussion with my brother today about how our minds are vehicles for change, and that's internally. So if we flip the switch and say, I'm not going to allow anxiety to take the driver's seat. I'm not going to allow my fear to control me. I'm going to control that fear. I'm going to say, fear, you could get in the backseat. I got places to be. I got goals to accomplish. And so I work to build up that confidence. So they're starting that change within. They go home, they're journaling their thoughts. They're implementing the coping skills learned in sessions so they feel more confident in themselves and trust their emotions more.
Wow, this is awesome. So now, how do you how exactly someone can reach out to you? Let's say, for example, I'm looking for someone to help me out. So how can I find you? How can I reach out to you? How's that start process? How does it work exactly?
Yeah, so there's several ways to reach out for me. I had one client who found me on Instagram, found my Instagram handle, The Change Within, Taylor Presha. And so they DM me. I answer all, requests. I have a website at changewithincounseling.com that has, an inquiry form, and you can submit that and I'll respond via email. I am also on Facebook. I am also on TikTok. I am on YouTube, and I am on Psychology
LinkedIn?
Today. So Psychology Today. So Psychology Today is, I always equate that for people just in general public. Like if you don't know where to go to find a therapist, the domino effect is Psychology Today. It's nationally based. You can open it up and you can research therapists within your zip code, within your city, within your state, or therapists who work with specific thing you want to target. So if you're looking for someone who is an expert in anxiety or an expert in eating disorder, then you can put in Psychology Today, or can put into any other Therapy for Black Girls is another server. Mental Health Match is another one, to find a therapist near you. So I am pretty much on a lot of platforms. I even have a Google business for Google me. And, my podcast, Therapy Talks with Taylor, is on multiple platforms. So I definitely try to be as technology savvy as possible, because I know my target audience, the clientele population I really want to focus on, is those in the 20s and 30s, because we're in that in-between generation of, those older, like, my mom's generation, they have a vastly different experience, and those younger, completely different. Whereas us in the 20s and 30s are in the in-between. A little bit of the traditionalist from previous generation, but a little bit progressive in this newer generation. So how do we cope with this balancing back and forth?
Yes. And you are right about that. I'm right there with you on that.
Yes.
So for the podcast on Therapy Talks with Taylor, so I know that it educates on mental health issues, but can you tell us a little bit more about it, on the topics, and also where people can go to listen to it?
Yes. And so I started that last month, September, and I had been talking about this for I don't know how long, like a year or so. I was like, I want to start a podcast or a YouTube series, one or the two. I don't know what. And my friend's like, just do it, Taylor. It's like, yeah, I do. But what do I talk about? I can talk about anything. And it was like, just do it. So I was like, you know what? Instead of having a thought, I'm just going to put it out there. And so each episode is on a different topic I come across in my session. So one episode I talked about defining what is mental health, because we hear it in media, we hear it in politics, we hear it around that mental health. And so I break down the word, I break down what we see, and describe that. Or I have another one about anxiety, because I have a few clients who are struggling with anxiety. So I define what anxiety is. I list some of the symptoms, some of the diagnoses, and then I talk about interventions and resources. So if I'm struggling with social anxiety, what is an intervention I can do to help me with social anxiety? So I explain a type of intervention that you could apply. And then lastly, I always lead with resources. So I list different hotline numbers, different organizations to kind of, gear people towards looking at for, what works best for them. And I always in every episode with, your story doesn't end here. And I think that's a fantastic reminder when we're in the struggles or we're in the trenches of our life worries, we feel like this is the end. We feel like, oh my gosh, I can't get out. But I remind my listeners that it doesn't end here. You're just ending that chapter. There are so many more chapters yet to be written. So just turn that page, turn that, corner to say, oh wait, okay, I can start a new chapter.
Wow. I don't know. You just keep amazing me every time. I think more questions I ask you.
Yes.
But as a therapist and also as an entrepreneur, you juggle a lot of things, because also you're carrying a lot of other things within you, and also you're a wife and a mom. So how do you cope with all these challenges that come into you every single day?
Yeah, it's a lot. So, I always, every therapist has a therapist. That's a joke we kind of have. It's like, we need people we need to talk to. So that's first and foremost. So if I'm asking people to come in and trust my stories, of course I'm going to do it myself. So I have a therapist as my support system, but also, I have, a devoted husband who helps shoulder some of that weight, who encourages me, hey, did you check in with your self-care? I was like, oh, that's a good thing. I got to remind myself of self-care, because as mom, we're always mom.
Yes.
There's no off switch. Even if we're off doing work or even hanging with friends, we're always thinking of our child. And so I do have to remind myself to like, hey, okay, we have our different roles as entrepreneur, business owner, content creator, wife, mother, but I am Taylor. That has been the biggest lesson for me on this journey as an entrepreneur and therapist, is that don't forget about Taylor. Because oftentimes we do forget about ourselves as females when we're raising a family, when we're married, when we're doing things. And so I have learned to put her here as well, that she's not bottom of the list. She exists at the same plane as all of my other identities. And so that has been my biggest thing to overcome this year, and that I am, powering through, is that I am Taylor first. That's my name. That's who I came in the world as. And so making sure I devote time to her.
Exactly. And also I think that if you don't take care of yourself, then at the end of the day, you're gonna leave your daughter alone, because you're not gonna live long, and because you're gonna have too much to carry, and then it's not good for her as well. And I think that's something also I had to learn the hard way as a mom as well.
Yes.
And it's not good to do that. And
It's
sometimes
not.
I have to tell my son, sometimes it's me time. I'm going to read a book. And he's like, okay, mom, enjoy your reading your book.
Exactly. Because sometimes we might feel guilty. Like, oh, I feel guilty for putting me first. And it's like, no, if I don't take care of me, whether it's reading, whether it's getting my nails done, going on a vacation, then I can't be the best mom that I know I can be, or the best wife that I know I can be, or the best business owner, or best insert job title that I can be, if you don't take care of your needs first.
Exactly. So I completely agree on that with you. And I think that a lot of women face that issues, being a business owner, a mom, a wife, and then like, which one come first? Which one is this? And they try to juggle all of these things, and then they forget the most important thing, you.
Exactly.
I'm with you on that. So any word of advice for women who want to get into entrepreneurship?
Oh, I would say first, know that you can. Know that you can, and your idea, and know that there's not enough of us in business. Because a lot of times, sometimes we feel like, oh, I want to start a food truck, but there's so many food trucks out there. It's like when you go to the grocery store and you walk down the bread aisle, there are so many different types of bread. It's the same concept, same product, but there's so many different organizations. Same process with women entrepreneurship. Start it. We need more female leaders in business, in any industry, science, technology, health, mental health, education. Start that business, because we as, women, we have such an intellectual design that puts us ahead when we're looking at different businesses. So that's the first step. Also, surround yourself with influential and motivating people. So you want to make sure this circle you keep are pushing you and challenging you to do it. Sometimes I'll share an idea with my best friend, because I know that even though I might be scared to start it, I know she's going to challenge me to start it. I know she's going to be like, oh, I'm Taylor. Remember about 2 weeks ago, you said you were going to do this? I'm checking in. How's that going to go? I was like, oh yeah, I did say that. So you want to make sure you have a strong support system around you. And if you don't, you might want to find someone. You want to find someone in different industries, different walks of life, who are going to motivate you and challenge you towards those goals.
Wow, well said. I will not add anything to that at all. Anything else you'd like to share with us before I let you go today?
Know that I just love what I do. And I'm so blessed and fortunate that I've been gifted with these talents and divinely put on this earth to do so. And I just want to ultimately change the world one person at a time. And so that's just my life mission.
Thank you so much, Taylor. You are a sweetheart.
Thank you. Thank
I love what
you.
you are doing, and like you said, we need more women in business. We more leaders, more women that can not just at home mom, but doing a lot more than that in this world too. For our next
Absolutely.
generation to see that we as women can do this. So I
Exactly.
appreciate what you are doing, and I love talking to other businesswomen. And please do not quit and keep
Absolutely
moving
not.
forward.
Thank you.